Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Jenman Safaris, safari planning with insider tips from our crew. I am extremely excited that for the first time I am able to share the space and share this floor with Erica and Chantel. Erica, who has been working with Jenman Safaris and created incredible safari experiences for many of her clients for the past 3 years. And she has been actually in travel since she was 18 months, if I'm not mistaken, with her first trip to Germany. But then actually making a living out of it for since 2009. And Chantel, who has been with Jenman Safaris for 17 years, and been guiding for 18 years. Welcome, the two of you. I am so excited to share your love for Namibia today and see what trip Erica is taking us on when she is showing us her love for Namibia. Even though she's a born and bred Zimbabwean, Chantel is born and bred South African. So I'm interested to hear why Erica chose Namibia as her first trip to present to us. But before we get there, Erica, I just want to let the listeners know that we are also joined by Odile, who is the brand ambassador for Gondwana Collection in Namibia. So we are getting her into our conversation a little later, as well as Liana, who's from Zebra Kalahari Lodge, also deep in Namibia, who can give us insights of what's going on the ground there. So we will be chatting to them a little later and popping them in. So welcome, everybody. And Erica, please explain why you're betraying Zimbabwe over Namibia.
That makes it sound so terrible. But to be honest, like with this whole COVID situation going on, I was focusing on somewhere where we can get out of the house and into big open spaces. And since I've now been to Namibia, I was just completely blown away by it, and the big open spaces and the desert. And driving it myself gives me the independence to be able to stop wherever I want and take pictures. And from one desert to another, I'm in a completely different space. So for me, it was just so unique.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking forward to see where you're taking us today. And Chantel, you probably have been in and out of Namibia more than any of us. Your passport is probably full with stamps, South Africa, Namibia. So tell me, what makes Namibia so special for you?
Hi, Katja. Yeah, Namibia is a truly unique destination. There's such variety, the landscapes, the cultures, the different people that live there, that call it home. The raw beauty, the contrast, the colors to the skies, the sand, it's just spectacular. And even amateur photographers become professionals taking pictures in Namibia. It's stunningly beautiful and rich in wildlife. It's an amazing country to explore.
Great. So, Erica, I can't wait to see some of those photographs that were apparently taken by amateurs when you show us. And I also can't wait to see when we had a pre-run of this, you mentioned that there's wildlife in the desert. There's actually animals living in the desert. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward and drawing on Chantel's expertise whenever I want to dig in a little deeper. And Erica, I give you the floor. Please take us away and take us to Namibia. Let us know what you've got. And then most importantly, let us know later what we can actually win. Because if I'm not mistaken, that 9-day itinerary that you're put together here is what 2 of our listeners can win today. So show us what it's all about.
Yes, well, I'll show you first so that you know exactly why you want to enter the competition, I suppose. So just to give you a general overview with the map, there we have it in front of us. So we're going to start off in Windhoek. Then we're going to head south into the Kalahari. Then we go even further south to the Aus region. to hopefully see some wild horses. After that, and maybe some more like deserted areas for the bucket list, for the gram. Then we're going to head back up north to the Namib Desert. Some amazing experiences we're going to have there, and we'll see some more pictures there. Then we're going to head over to the coast in Swakopmund and some more daredevil activities there, and then back to Windhoek. So that's just a general overview of the itinerary. And to give you an example of some of these amateur pictures, there you have it in front of you. Big open spaces, dirt roads, tar roads. Yeah, it gives you a feel. I can't really talk about it as much as I can show you, so I'm excited to have the pictures with me.
So, Erica, you chose road tripping, I see, as the topic we want to chat about. So now tell me, on a road trip, what must our guests pack? What do you pack? What do you give travelers as advice you mustn't forget? So what's in your bag?
Well, I'm glad you asked me, because I brought props. I brought props for this. So a water bottle is important. Your playlists are very important. So one thing about self-driving is you can listen to the same album over and over again if you like, or you can have your own playlist as well. So your music is your own. You don't have to listen to somebody else, which I do have to do sometimes. And the next thing that I've started doing recently is to have a travel diary. So those are some of my top essentials, and your coffee mug for being in the car.
Your eco coffee cup. So Erica, I like that you bring up the playlist. So I actually want to challenge all of our listeners to leave in the comment section a song that they would definitely add to a playlist when they go road tripping. And then I think Erica and Chantel will put some effort into putting the playlist together in the end. And then if you leave your email address as well, we can share it with you later. So please go wild. I think that would be a fun game to play. But Chantel, you are a guide. So you always look after guests. You know what questions they ask, frequently asked questions on a road trip. What is the first thing you will make sure you've got with you on a road trip from a professional level, from a guiding level?
Well, as the guide, I'm looking after my guests. So safety is always extremely important. So I make sure that I'm well acquainted with my vehicle, that I know where the spare is, and I've got all the tools just in case I get a puncture or anything like that. Some of the roads in Namibia can be quite challenging. So make sure you familiarize yourself with those things. And then, of course, as a guide, we're always looking at the birds and stuff. So we need our binoculars, we've got to be able to see them. And then your camera for pictures of the wildlife, your guidebooks or your identification books, like a bird book, mammal books, that kind of thing. You want to be able to know what it is that you see on the side of the road. And then, yes, definitely music. Namibia, big country. So you're going to do a bit of driving. You definitely need a good playlist. So we'll definitely get that sorted. Erica, we'll sort some nice variety of songs.
That is great. So we already have a few suggestions here. We got Black Coffee and David Guetta for the drive. We've got Talking Heads. We've got Red Wine. And then obviously some people are already sharing their email addresses here to get the playlist. Tracy Chapman, Fast Car. That would be my song.
Oh, there we go. That'll be good.
Fantastic. Very cool. All right. I'm excited to see what comes out of the playlist. Before I let you carry on, Erica, sorry. Very interactive crowd. I love this. Asking what is the best time to travel to Namibia, as the climate is very different to the rest of the subcontinent. Do you know, or can you share that with us, Chantal? You've probably traveled there throughout the year.
Yes. I mean, Namibia is a special place, so you can really go at any time of year, but there are things to consider. The rainy season can make travel a little bit more difficult. Certainly the best time would be, I would say, from May onwards, around to September, October. During the winter months, it's really beautiful. You've got very clear skies, which is fantastic for stargazing. It's also much better for your game viewing because the animals are having to use permanent water supplies. So you can literally go into Etosha Park and just wait for the animals to come and drink. So for that reason, the dry season is a very good time to go. Just to remember as well, if you do go in winter, it does get quite cold at night, so you'll need your beanies and your scarves and things to keep warm. But the green season can also be lovely. You get the migratory birds coming, you see the lush bush coming back to life after the many months of the dry season. So certainly winter is a great time, but summer can be just as spectacular.
Yeah, I get you. So, Michelle, I hope we answered that question. And Erica, I'm sorry I'm getting so excited about this playlist, and you will get to talk about your trip in a second. But we've got here Africa Toto, Red Hot Chili Peppers road tripping. I love this stuff. And Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody. Lots of stuff going on. Okay. Some other questions popping in here. We'll answer them later. Erica, show us your trip.
Okay, so we've left Windhoek. We are now in the open spaces. So if you're with me, and then our first stop is going to be in the Kalahari. So once you've checked in, my very first stop is going to be that pool. And we are staying for this trip, we're staying at Zebra Kalahari Lodge and Spa. And so this is where we're going to welcome Liana. And she's going to tell us a little bit about the property and about what we can do at Zebra Kalahari Lodge.
Hi guys.
Hi Liana.
Hey.
For you to join us.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So I had a few questions for you, Liana. Just mainly, firstly, what activities can guests choose to be able to experience? What's so unique about the lodge in Kalahari, and what can they do there?
Yeah, the Kalahari in itself is quite a unique place. As you mentioned, there's lots of different things to see. So we've got quite a lot of animals on the farm, and you can see them in two different ways. The one would be to go on a game drive, and we do morning and afternoon game drives. In the afternoon, it's always accompanied by drinks and snacks, like all other good sunset drives should be in Namibia. And then our morning drives are also very nice. And then you can also see the game on quad bike. So we've got quad bikes, and you can go with a guide through the desert or through the Kalahari dunes, and you see quite a few other stuff there. And what we also have, which is quite unique, is our Bushman walk. We have got a couple of San people living with us on the farm, and then early in the morning at about 7, they will take you on a short little walk, and they will show you all the interesting stuff about their culture, how they used to live, how they used to bury their ostrich egg, do their hunting dances and stuff. So it's quite entertaining. They will be speaking in their mother tongue, in the Bushman language. And then we've got a guide that's translating so that people can hear the language and the nice clicks and clacks that the Bushman people have. And that is quite nice, and activity. And then we also have a small spa there for all the ladies to get all the, the knots rubbed out of your back. It's never a bad thing to just lie down for a massage, back and neck, or, foot massage or whatever. So those are a few of our activities that the self-drive clients or the people going in groups can join.
That sounds absolutely amazing. So Katja had commented a little bit earlier about what we're going to see under the sand. So we're already starting to see it here. So that kind of leads into my next question about what's so different about the biodiversity around this lodge in comparison to the rest of Namibia.
Yeah, every area of Namibia, and as you guys said, it's part of our charm. It's so different. So in the Kalahari Desert, we've got these beautiful red sand dunes. When it rains in the green season, we've got a pan that fills up with water. In the winter, it dries out, and you see oryx and springbok and giraffe. You see the little meerkats and mongooses, lots of birds there to see. So there's a whole lot of different animals that people can see. The plants, the vegetation is quite unique. So it's all different and interesting stuff. We've got the sociable weaver's nest, which are huge. And the guides always joke to the people, say it's giraffes that, put their grass there for the winter. But there's more than enough for people to see and do on the farm. People can go on a walk or a run through the dunes and just experience a little more of that every day.
It's amazing. It's always so fascinating for me coming from Zimbabwe to think to myself, on the next few countries over it's just the desert. But once I got there and I saw how unique all those little creatures are and the different little things and how unique it is, it was amazing.
No, that's absolutely true.
So what makes you so suited for a self-drive in particular?
Well, we're a small lodge. We only have 16 rooms. So all our clients get special attention to detail and lots of special service. It's a beautiful setting at Zebra Kalahari Lodge. So we're quite ideal for honeymooners or just couples driving, for families. The lodge has got a kiddie swimming pool as well. So families can just relax there. And good and bad thing, our Wi-Fi, is there or it isn't there. It's never guaranteed. So it's a place where people can just wind off and relax and enjoy the day. And it's not a far drive from Windhoek. It's about 3 hours drive to get to us from Windhoek. So normally we're either the first day or we are the second day. So it's an easy drive to get to us. It's not difficult, not a lot of gravel road.
Awesome. One last question. Can you tell us something in the Click language?
It's something in the
word in the Sands Click language.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'll just stuff it up.
Chantel, what about you? Can you?
I can say I learned this a few years ago. Kalahari. But that's not in San. That's in Damara, and apparently it means cold beer. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's quite necessary in the desert to be able to ask for a cold beer in a local language.
Yeah, you need that. Well, thank you, Liana, for joining us. Thank you also for making this possible. Liana and her business did sponsor a few nights at her lodge on the trip that you'll be able to win at the end of this. So thank you so much. It's so much appreciated. And as much as we hope for any lodge in Namibia or in Southern Africa or anywhere in the world, really, we hope that guests come back soon. And get to enjoy the beauty of Namibia there is, and that your team can soon again welcome guests and get their jobs back and their livelihoods back and do what they love most. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us, and come to the sunshine.
We will. We won't need it. We won't need a second invite. Cool.
Thank you, Diana.
Thanks, Diana. So, Erica, where are we going from here?
So next, I remember from the map, we are going further down south.
Mm-hmm.
So we're pulling out more of our essentials, our coffee and our playlist, and we're heading to the Ouse Mountains. And along the way, we're probably going to start seeing more. Although we've already seen some wildlife that I hadn't mentioned before as well. Right from the road side, we're going to start seeing gemsbok or springbok, but we're also going to find a lot of pudstal. So if our IT fairy brings up a picture, this is what the pudstal is. It is basically a farm store where you're going to get amazing little delights and treats for your road trip. Biltong, rusks, more biltong, and some more biltong.
All right.
You've got to have the local biltong from Namibia.
So I see a dirt road there. Chantel, maybe just some practical advice. How should I drive on a dirt road? If me as a European's never really driven on a dirt road, or is there any precautions I should take just on a practical?
Yes, definitely. You need to be aware of the fact that it's not the same as driving on a tar road or a bitumen road. Your vehicle will react quite differently to gravel. So it's important that you have your tires at the correct inflation. You usually have it a little bit less than you would on a tar road to ensure that you have a better grip on the road. And then to be very wary when you're taking curves, and to watch your speed levels, because you can very easily, the terrain on a gravel road is quite loose often. And that means that if you lose traction, you can slide right off the road. So very important to stick to your speed limits that are recommended, and to just watch yourself a little bit. Look out for possible areas with soft sand in the road that can jerk your steering wheel as you drive. So proceed with caution, take it slow, and make sure your tires are correctly inflated.
Okay, thank you. And then, of course, if you're not keen to self-drive, just book it with a guide.
Yes, just come with me. I'll show you everything.
Exactly. Cool. All right, Erica, tell me where else? Let's carry on with your trip.
Okay, so we've arrived in Aus now. We are with the wild horses, and we are coming to the Klein Aus Vista Desert Inn. So that's where we're staying for the next 2 nights. Here's some of our amateur pictures of the wild horses. There's apparently 2 different theories about how the horses got here, but one of them is that one of the bases, the German bases, was attacked in the early 1900s, and that the grazing herds then just scattered, and now there's a population in the area. So being here, we're now also going to welcome Ondil to tell us a little bit more about this area and this lodge where we're going to be staying for 2 nights.
Erica, before we move on to Odile, now I do want to welcome her quickly. There is a question here from Lynn Bicknell. And Lynn is asking, can you tell her what your average daily driving times are on the itinerary that you've worked out?
So there is some long driving, but on average about 4 to 5 hours. Some days are less, and some days are a little bit more. But on a self-drive itinerary, if it's a short drive, you might decide to make it longer as well because of your stops. We talk about the pad-style stops. There's more stops that we talk about that are highlights that you have to stop at when you're driving through Namibia. And you might not even feel the driving time because you're just blown away by the different scenery and going from one desert to the next desert.
Well, thank you, Erica. Welcome, Odile.
Hi.
As I introduced you earlier, the brand ambassador of Gondwana Collection, and saying that she literally, you say to me earlier that you visit one of your lodges every month, and you're also opening a new lodge very soon, as soon as this is over, which is Etosha King Nehale Lodge. So that's
actually
on your.
We couldn't wait. We decided, you know what? Let's just open it.
Well done. Yeah, so you just haven't been able to travel there.
Yes.
Okay, so welcome, Odile, and I hope you can answer some of these burning questions that I have about these wild horses. But first, Erica, you go and ask your questions to Odile.
Thank you, Katja.
Well, since that's a burning question, I'll ask that question first. So, do you want to tell us more about the wild horses and about staying there and being able to see the wild horses?
Well, I first thank you for the question. I first want to just address your story, and the story I heard is the exact same one that you also heard. So there is actually a long history when it comes to the wild horses, but I don't know if you know this, there's a website dedicated to the wild horses. It's wild-horses-namibia.com, where it actually gives you a few stories and it gives you more information. But what I can tell you right now is that the wild horses, they roam fairly sparsely vegetated plains of the Namib Desert in small groups. And over the decades, they have conquered the desert as their habitat. So it belongs to them. It's their home. They drink from the trial that's at Garup, that's roughly 20 kilometers west of Aus, but it falls under an activity of Klein Aus Vista. So there is a hide where you can go watch the horses and take pictures, or simply do what I do, drive out there, take a seat and just enjoy the scenery, because it's very, very comforting. Some even call it therapeutic, just watching the wild horses.
I did find it fascinating, to be honest, because I think of horses and I just think, oh, they, for domestic use. And when I read a little bit and I just needed to know more, I just found the whole thing that they're wild just amazing.
But it's really incredible. Yes, there's also a foundation that's aiming to ensure that we keep them alive. With the drought that we experienced in Namibia over the past couple of years, they have garnered a lot of attention in the media. But I always told my boss, why not? These creatures are magnificent and they play a huge part in Namibia's history. So if it's not on your bucket list when you visit Namibia, I strongly suggest that you should put it there.
Well, Adila, it's funny you say that because my bucket list is what brought me to the horses, and it brings me to my next question. I want to
Yes.
visit the ghost town.
The ghost town, yes.
You know, for the gram.
Kolmanskop.
Traveling is for the gram. So tell me, I want to go to the ghost town. How far is it, and how much time should I take to go and visit?
Well, the ghost town you speak of is called Kolmanskop in the Namib Desert, or in the Namib of Southern Africa. And as you mentioned, it's a photographer's dream. It's an Instagrammer's dream. It's a Gen Z generation's dream. It's roughly 110 kilometers from the lodge at Kleinhaus Vista. You can either do it as a guided tour, or you can drive there by yourself. But you will need to take out a couple of hours when visiting this heritage site. It's incredible. It's 10 kilometers away from Lüderitz, so it's not that far out. Actually, the only information that I know of this that I claim to be true was that it was named after a transport driver named Johnny Coleman, but I'm not a historian, so I can't really say if that's correct, but this place is amazing. One thing that you will need to pay attention to is that this site, visiting this site depends completely on the weather, basically. So if it's really windy, then we suggest that you don't travel there. You won't be able to enjoy it as much. There's too much desert sand there, and it will feel like a trip to the beach and not to the ghost town. But this Kolmanskop is a photographer's dream. You will need to pay an admissions fee, but all the proceeds that they collect at Kolmanskop go to a certain charity and go towards the community of Lüderitz.
I can't wait. It's literally on my bucket list next.
Yes, yeah. And it's I wouldn't say do this as a solo tour. If you must, make sure that you grab enough friends, because once you get there, you wouldn't want to leave. Every corner, every angle, every view is breathtaking. So it will take some time to leave.
I'm sure. I've got a bit of a thing for abandoned places and abandoned things. So when I saw this is how it made it to my bucket list. I do have one question from going back to the horses now. Sorry, we got one question from Tina Pigors. Do you have your own horses at the lodge, or is it an option with the wild ones around?
To ride the horses? I'm not sure. Yeah. Unfortunately, no, we do not come close to the wild horses. As mentioned, that's their habitat, and we view them, basically. We treat it the same as you would treat any wild animal, for example, in Etosha. We need to respect their space and their habitat. Kleinhaus Vista, we do have horses there as well, but they belong to the owners. If you ask nicely, I'm sure he would be keen on letting you enjoy a ride there. But the wonderful thing about Kleinhaus Vista, besides the wild horses, there are so many other activities. There's e-bike tours. We also have hiking tours. And if you enjoy cycling, you can step it up a notch and do some mountain biking, if you can put it like that. I don't cycle. I'm sure you can tell. Mountain
biking is right. I do, so you're right.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, Kleinhaus Vista, it's just a breathtaking place, and it's definitely one to remember, basically.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Odile, I think you've definitely sold me on that, on this abandoned town. And I mean, Chantel, have you been there? I'm sure you have.
I've only been there once, sadly, many years ago. It was on a tailor-made Jenman tour that we went there, and we were unlucky. The weather was really poorly, so it was really cold in Lüderitz. We were actually staying in Lüderitz. And we went out, but once we got there, we realized that it was just too windy, and so we ended up going back to town. Yeah, so I sadly have never experienced it in all its glory with the lights and the sky behind it. No, sadly. So I have to go back.
Yeah, so maybe the winner of this trip will choose to rather also add a guide to this trip. We make sure you will be the dedicated guide,
Yeah.
and then you can go see that. And Odile, there's just one other question from Michelle asking, are there resident brown hyena around? And Garth was wondering, how many wild horses are there still at the moment?
Unfortunately, I can't give you the full number. To be honest, I don't know. And yes, unfortunately, we did have a resident hyena. It was actually a huge topic of debate between the government and private sectors because we are so passionate about these wild horses. The hyena were attacking the horses, to say the least. But the situation is taken care of, and our aim of the foundation, especially the Wild Horses Foundation, is to ensure that they are taken care of and that Namibia's heritage and history lives on with them.
Okay. Odile, thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you also for being so generous with sponsoring the nights that you have for this 9-day trip. And thank you also for your extremely amazing partnership over the last years, for always supporting us, for looking after us, and especially in these times also for having our back. And life is tough at the moment when you're in tourism, so we appreciate a great partnership. So thank you.
Thank you. If I may add one more thing, since we are on the topic of self-drives, around Kleinhaus Vista, you do get great road quality. So the conditions are quite welcoming, for the lack of a better word. And it's definitely something that you should look at. If you know Erica, make sure that you call her and join her on these trips, because Erica, I think I want to call you and join you on these trips. So many unique properties, incredible sites, and vast landscapes. Namibia is definitely a destination for self-drive safaris.
Great. So maybe soon we will have more than just the Germans and the Dutch driving around.
I like that, yes.
Thanks so much for joining us, Odile. And
thank you so much, Odile.
All right, Erica, where are we going next?
So now we've come to the very furthest south that we're going to head on this trip, and we're now going to head into the Namib Desert. So this is probably where everybody's been dying, or what they think and what they see when they want to go to Namibia. So here we're going to go to Sossusvlei. We're going to climb the dunes. Dune 45 is those lovely ladies on that dune there. We are at the top of Dune 45. In Sossusvlei, there's the dunes to climb, as well as the canyon to see, as well as Dead Flay is where we're also going to be visiting with the 900-year-old tree. You can't really see it in that picture because I picked a really nice one, but I am completely exhausted. So it is good to take your water on that one because it is a challenge. But once you get up there, you've got the bragging rights to say that you've done it. So that's one of the highlights of coming to this area as well.
So, Chantel, I know some of these, there's a dune called Dune 45, right? I mean, I've read that in these itineraries that we put out. So are all the dunes numbered?
No, Katja, not all of the dunes are numbered. It's mainly the quite large star dunes on the southern side of the Chauchap River line, and that sort of creep up into the flats. And it was originally the staff members and the game rangers of the Namib Nowcliff National Park that numbered the dunes as a reference point, as fixed points for them. And coincidentally, Dune 45 is 45 kilometers from Sesrim Camp. But that's just a coincidence. It's not so not all the dunes are numbered. Just the really large star dunes on the southern side.
Cool. So Erica, are you going to show me now what animals live in this desert? Come on. Are we getting
I don't have too many pictures, but if we go to the next slide, this is a picture of something that you're going to see from the desert. So like I was talking about dead flay, so they're very dead. They're not living, but within the same desert area, we're going to find chameleons, snakes, scorpions, and in the living desert tour, we can find so many of these small creatures and really unique little animals that Namibia has that everybody might just discard. But yeah, I mean, I didn't do it when I went, but I want to go and hand feed a chameleon now.
Chantel, have you done it, the Living Desert Tour?
I have done the Living Desert Tour, yeah. I do a version of the Living Desert Tour myself when I take people into Sossusvlei. So yeah, there's always something to see. It's good to look for tracks. We can find some interesting spiders, trapdoor spiders. You can find their little nests and have them sort of come peek out through the hole. And there's lots of tracks that can lead you to gerbils, and there's hares, desert hares that live around there. Few bird species, some birds of prey. The pale chanting goshawk is really beautiful, one of my favorite birds of prey that you can see out there. So yeah, there's loads of life in the desert. It just isn't as obvious as when we go into the savanna areas, but the desert you have to look a little bit harder, but when you find them, it's just amazing. And you know those little lizards, the chameleons that do the little dance on the sand, you know, because the sand is so hot, they lift up 2 feet and they lick the dew off their bodies in the mornings to get moisture and everything. So there's some really amazing creatures to find in the desert.
Great. What a great insight. So I think, though, if any of our audience has some special songs for the road trip when we hit the desert, I mean, that would be good, right? I mean, when you go into the desert, there definitely need to be some different songs. So please let us know if you have a suggestion on the song playlist. We will still put that together and share it afterwards. And Erica, where are we going from here?
So we're still staying here. We're in this region for 2 nights. And on one of these nights, it's going to be the absolute. The word is sometimes overused, but it's going to be epic. And we're going to sleep under the stars for one of these nights. We're sleeping in a star bed. The bed is going to roll out for this particular place where we're staying at, care of Dune Star Camp. We are taken out to a little cabin further into the desert. If you don't think that's possible, it is possible. And you can see a daylight picture there of the starbed that we're going to sleep in. And sleeping under the stars is just one of the most amazing experiences I have ever done. And I know it's a possibility in numerous places, but here, when I did it, I was lying in the bed and I could just hear one owl on the one side and another owl on the other side talking to each other, and it was just amazing. So I have a maybe Chantel can tell us.
Yeah, that's probably the spotted eagle owl.
It is.
That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah.
On the spot there. Oh my goodness!
I know.
Please, Chantel, get that right.
Well, there aren't that many owl species that live in the desert, so you know there's only a couple around. So.
I'm so glad.
So that's one of the most amazing experiences to have out here. And after spending the night out there, we wake up and then we do a little walk. Almost like a living desert, where we're going to see a bit more of the creatures in that area, and then we're going to head on to the next place.
Cool. So the next place apparently is accompanied by 2 songs, which is Sting Desert Rose and the Counting Crows, This Desert Life. So where are we going?
So we're heading up to Swakopmund, but before we get there, we are going to stop at Solitaire, because it is the world famous place to stop apparently, or I was told, and once I got there, I agreed. So we're stopping at Solitaire petrol station, or another pub style, should I say, let's call it something more exciting, for world famous apple pie. And it's a really unique little stop with loads of old cars and also a photographer's heaven. So if anybody's ever seen where all these old cars are, it's en route between Namib and Swakopmund. And as well as stopping off there, we're going to pass the sign where you obviously must get out and take a picture at the Tropic of Capricorn.
So cool. So I know Kim, who is in the background here commenting as Jenman Safaris and answering all your questions, will be so delighted that you brought so much food into this conversation. So she'll be very excited. Okay, so after I've tasted that apple crumble, Chantal, have you tasted it?
Oh yes, many, many times. And they give
Is
you
it
nice
good?
big pieces. Yeah, it's delicious. It's one of the best. Yeah. I knew the
Okay.
guy Moose as well, whose recipe it was, and I'd always take him some sweets. He loved sour worms and things like that. He was quite a character. So
Okay.
yeah, best apple pie. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, and Erica, you're taking us to Swakopmund from here?
So we're off to Swakopmund. I just thought I'd share this picture with you guys as well because for me it was unique. It is the same zebra, but
Oh
for me
wow.
coming from Zim, it's very unique to see this zebra because it's not found in Zim. Chantal can correct me. It's lost me now.
No, it's the Hartmann's mountain zebra.
The mountain zebra, yeah. So
The Hartmann's mountain zebra, yeah.
Hartmann. So for me, it was unique. It's quite a bit smaller. I've been to the bush a number of times, but it was a first or a lifer, if we're talking in bird terms, for me to see a mountain zebra. So that was quite exciting. But we're getting to Swakopmund. So we're now in Swakopmund, and this is adventure capital for Namibia, I think. 4x4ing, quad biking on the dunes, kayaking, skydiving for those who are really up for it. And in Swakopmund, I found what was so cool is you're in the desert on your quad bike, and you look over one side and it's just dunes, but then you look over the next side and it's the ocean. So very unique.
So Chantal or Erica, one of you can maybe answer that question. So does this quad biking, is it for everyone? Is there like an age limit to it? How can I imagine this? What can I tell my guests? I guess, if I have like a multi-generational family traveling, is it for everyone?
Yes, I think, Erica, if I can jump in there, I think it is possible. I mean, you've got to be interested in riding a bike a little bit, but they have a variety of different types of bikes. So if you're very experienced, you can get on one of the blasters and you can really go all out and have a lot of fun. If you're inexperienced, you get on one of the automatics that are very easy to drive, very simple. They are very good at showing you how to use the bikes. And then if you really don't want to drive it yourself, you can jump on the back with one of the guides. So there is a little bit of opportunity to adjust it to the person's skill. So certainly the whole family can go. Grandma can go on the back, and the 10-year-old can have his own automatic, and dad can have fun on the blaster.
So, Chantel, seeing that Erica describes Swakopmund as the adventure capital of Namibia, and I'm sure you've done most of the activities on offer there. What's your favorite one? Like, what's your go-to?
Well, I did the skydiving 3 times there, so that was definitely one of my bucket list items that I always wanted to do, and it was absolutely amazing. But one of my favorite activities in Swakopmund is the dolphin cruise. To go out on a catamaran and you see some of the seabirds and the seals, but also you have the opportunity to see dolphins and whales, pelicans. It's amazing bird life and marine life to see. And that's just a very pleasant time to spend. It's half a morning or half afternoon. And they do some snacks, a bit of champagne and fresh oysters. So it's a very civilized way to spend the day.
Very civilized. When we talked about your skydiving, I did think of a song, and that's Free Falling. I think that's it.
Yeah, there we go.
That would be blasting in my ears. Erica, so is that the end of our trip?
Yes. So after some kayaking as well, like Chantal said, we get to see some more animals. So there is one more slide for you to look at a very cute little face.
Oh.
So it was very exciting to see all of that. And so after Swakopmund, after eating all the amazing food and the oysters and the champagne, we head back to Windhoek for our for our last night for the sunset. That's in Swakopmund, so there'll be a lot of sunsets, but the last sunset, chasing sunsets everywhere, and that kind of brings us to the end of the trip.
So
if I can just add also, sorry, Katja, just to add that Swakopmund also has some of the best restaurants. There's some really great food to be had. You can see that jetty in that picture there. There's a restaurant called the Jetty out there, which has really great food. But there's just what's just off the picture, which you can't see, is a place called the Tug Restaurant, which is an old tugboat that's been turned into a restaurant that has fabulous seafood and really good game meats and things like that. So very good restaurants as well in Swakopmund.
Kim is so excited in the background. I can literally hear her salivating. So that is really great. We have a question here about sandboarding in Swakopmund. Worth it? What do you think?
Oh, definitely, yes. Loads of fun. You'll get sand in everywhere, your ears and your pants. But yeah, it's loads of fun. And if you're not a good snowboarder or anything, you just do the lie down sandboarding. You go down the dunes at speeds of up to 80 kilometers an hour. Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So now, Erica, I think I'll give you the floor again and show us what our listeners can win today.
So it's a 9-night itinerary through Namibia. First night in Windhoek for travelers who are arriving. 1 night in Kalahari, 2 nights in Aus to see the deserted town or the ghost town and the wild horses. 1 night at a lodge in the Namib Desert Lodge with Gondwana, and then the 1 night at the Dune Star Camp, the sleep out. The owls are everywhere. 2 nights in Swakop to give you some time for the activities, and then driving back to Windhoek for the last night.
I mean, this is incredible. I'm like, so, and then obviously you can, unfortunately we didn't include the car hire, but mainly also people can choose whether they want to drive this themselves or rather do it on a guided trip and book a professional guide such as Chantel for the journey. I think it's like pick me. So that is it's a phenomenal trip. Before we close off, and then we will share later on how you can win this trip on our Facebook page. So watch the space. Tomorrow morning we'll launch how to win this. We just touched briefly on Windhoek. Chantal, do you maybe want to give us some insight? What can travelers do in Windhoek?
Yeah, Windhoek is a beautiful city. It's got some really nice historical buildings in the main city center, like the Alta Festa, the old fort. They've got the Tintenpalast, which is the Houses of Parliament, which is really old beautiful buildings. The Christchurch in town. So there's a few historical buildings that you can go and visit, and museums. There's a good bit of shopping as well. It's a good place to get your supplies for your self-drive, get fueled up and get some your food, your groceries and stuff. And there's also great local markets with African curios that you can shop. And it's a 21st century town. It's got all the modern day amenities that you need, but a very vibrant culture and a lot of people from all over Namibia and other parts of Southern Africa, as well as other parts of the world. It's quite strange, I think, also for European travelers who come to Namibia to notice people speaking German in the shops. You walk into a store and they greet you in German. So there's that part of the culture is also there. All of the lovely German baked goods and different types of breads and things and meals that you can have in restaurants that have a bit of that German flair to it. So it's quite a unique and special city. Just to be a little bit careful, it is a big city. There's about 330,000 people, so it's the biggest city in Namibia. So just to be aware of your safety as well when moving around a busy town. But it's a beautiful city as well. Great restaurants as well. Go to Joe's Beer House. It's an amazing place, really eclectic and fun stuff. You've got to walk around the restaurant and go and look at stuff. And great food, great atmosphere. Good place to visit.
Thank you, Chantal, and also thank you so much for the safety tips. I mean, they are really appreciated, and I know obviously travelers do need to be aware of how and where they're traveling. So it's good to raise that point. There is one question that Calvin has raised, and he asks about the network coverage. I'm sorry, I must have missed that earlier. When you're self-driving, Chantal, is there good enough network coverage?
There are spots where there's no network coverage, but for the most part, it's pretty well covered. You might go through little areas where you won't have coverage. Some of the out of the way lodges might have less coverage, but generally speaking, on this particular route as well, you're pretty well covered. Cell phone towers was part of the big development in the last 15 years in Namibia, so there's pretty decent cell coverage. Yeah.
Cool. I am very excited. Yeah, you go.
I also just saw one of the other questions from Michelle about the guides being knowledgeable in astronomy. So I know that the feedback that I've got from guests who have gone, that the guides are incredibly knowledgeable, especially at the June Star camp. Obviously, it's kind of one of their biggest features. So going out there, they are incredible to know exactly what about constellations and what you're looking at, and they'll interrupt you for your dinner. They say, right, you're done with main course now. We're going to go and have a look at the stars before you have dessert. So that's definitely you're in good hands when it comes to the astronomy in the region.
Yeah. So thank you. I'm going to now that we're coming to the end of this Facebook Live, thank you everyone for joining us. If you enjoyed this chat, if you'd like to hear and see more about that, please follow and like our Facebook page. Sign up to the reminders and share it on your pages. We would love to even hear which destination you would like to explore with us next. That would be really, really great. Before I leave this and say goodbye to you all, I'm sorry, Chantal, if I may put you a little bit on the spot here, but could you, a lot of the European travelers, especially if I remember the feedback from my European agents who are asking, our clients want to also get to know people a little bit more. Is there anywhere along this trip, is there an easy way for travelers to maybe get involved with community projects or conservation projects, wildlife conservation, or even just a little bit of a cultural insight that is honest, I guess? Could you maybe speak a little bit into that if you don't mind?
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult in the southern part of Namibia to get that kind of thing because you have smaller communities that live there. There are certainly some projects around. Most of them are run by the lodges that you would stay at. I know Gondwana is extremely good in the way that they manage their produce and things like that. So they have initiatives where they have people producing milk for the yogurt for breakfast in the morning. They plant a lot of their own things. But in the south of Namibia, that is limited because you have a lack of rainfall, a lack of water and things like that. So it's a much less densely populated part of Namibia, but there certainly are projects. Of course, the wild horses are being protected and looked after during drought periods and that. So there's projects with that. I think your best bet for community interactions would be around Luderitz area on this particular itinerary. There are some projects there and that you can get to meet some of the locals. But it's a little bit more limited in the south. The further north you move, the more people you get, so you get a lot more community initiatives in those areas.
Great. So maybe the next itinerary Erica, that we put together might incorporate the north of Namibia, but I know your next trip will probably go to Zimbabwe. So let's see what we can do. So guys, thank you so much, first of all, for the two of you being here. It was lovely doing this with you. And thank you for the audience. Leave your email addresses in the comment boxes. so we can email you the playlist. Also, if you would like us to share the itinerary with you, if you would like to ask your travel agent to quote it for you, if you're not one of the lucky winners, please do let us know. Just pop your name and email address in there. And we can't wait to welcome you back into Namibia. There is certainly enough space for everyone. Social distancing comes naturally, and fresh air as well. So come as soon as you can. And obviously the airlines flying in is also relatively easy in Namibia, South African Airways, and also Emirates. So it would be great to see you guys soon. And thank you, Erica. Thank you, Chantel. And
Thank you both.
Hope to see you
Thanks, guys. That was nice. It's nice to join you.
soon. Cheers.
Bye, guys.